Happy Monday, everybody. February the 3rd. It's your boy, Change Agent Cooper, coming to you live from Asheville, North Carolina. I just want to do a little quick check-in and just give you an example of how this recovery to work model works. Okay, so first and foremost, it's good to use the certified peer support specialist up front with the people, because then you have somebody who's actually been in their shoes. So that rapport, it is established based off of those meetings. That person, like myself, sharing with the job seeker, the individual in the program, sharing my story with them so that they understand I've been in their shoes before. So that's one of the main components of it in the beginning of the relationship. But then once they get a job, it's more than just getting a person a job, my people. It's about how do we improve their quality of life? How do we help them retain a job? So I'll give you a real life example of something that's going on right now. So there's an individual that's on the caseload, right? And the individual has been able to hold the job down. But see, me as the peer support specialist, I was already aware that the individual had a slip up, had returned to using. There's power in language. We're trying to steer away from using the word relapse as much, but the individual returned to using. So when the individual returned to using, they was able to keep their job. They were still doing okay for a little bit of time. But we all know the nature of the beast, the disease of addiction, is cunning, baffling, fatal. It will take you out a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. So the good thing about having the certified peer support specialist involved, you have this continuous communication. No matter what's going on in life, the communication is still there. So when the individual reaches out and says, you know what, I need to get some help, that's when I say, okay, are we ready? Are we ready? Are you ready to go to treatment? Are you ready to commit to inpatient? And the individual, if they've hit a bottom, they'll say, yeah, whatever it takes. So at this point in time comes the advocacy. The advocacy is when I contact the employer and I say, hey, this whole time I've been asking you how he was doing. You've been telling me good job. I couldn't say too much because he hadn't gave me written permission to discuss this with you yet. But over the course of it getting worse, whenever we talked, and we talked about treatment, that's when I was like, okay, I need you to give me written consent to be able to advocate for you to get treatment. So at this point in time, it's great that the individual has health insurance. A lot of people don't have health insurance, but since this individual has health insurance, has given me written consent, then I contact the employer on behalf of the individual, because the individual is broken at the bottom. They're shamed, they're embarrassed, all of those things. If anybody has ever had any lived experience with this process, it can be very, very hard for you to admit to an employer that you need help. So that's where I come in at to translate that. And what we come up with is, hey, we're going to salvage the job while the individual is in treatment. This is a win. Like, this is not a loss. The individual returned to using, and us being able to salvage his job while he gets treatment, that is a win. That is a win. That is not a failure. That is a win. And so the hope is that the person will go to treatment, and when he get out, he will communicate with HR and whoever with this company about next steps. Me and the individual will talk about, whatever the discharge plan is from that treatment center. Of course, there will be some collaborations with the discharge planner to me, as it's time for the person to get out. And that's the way it has to be. It has to be an ecosystem approach, right? We all got to contribute to it. But man, I just wanted to share that with y'all, because that is victory. And it can happen. It can happen to you at whatever company you're at right now, whatever company you're running right now. You never know who in your company is struggling with substance use. The question is, do you have staff in place that can have those difficult conversations? Do you? Do you have those social services? I don't know. It seems like that's the best move, though, because if anybody is aware of the state of our beautiful country, it's a lot of people struggling with substance use disorder. And in order to retain a job, we have to be ready to have difficult conversations. We have to be proactive in our approach at treatment. And we have to also be ready for that person as they are transitioning out of treatment and re-entering the workforce. And if you ask me, one of the best things you can do is have some type of relationship with a certified peer support specialist. Because that's what we do. Self-disclosure is what we do. We use our own lived experience to help another person who's going through it the same way we went through it. Been to hell and back. I can show you vouchers. So as you're coming out of hell, I would love to hold your hand until we get to the promised land. My name is Change Agent Cooper. And remember, perseverance versus everything.